Hi, I'm Maria Ingold. I'm a CTO in video technology, and I'm at Connected Media IP at the NAB Show 2019. I'm joined by Pieter Speelmans, who is the CTO of THEO Technologies. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good being here.
Good. I'm so glad you're here joining us. What have you thought of the NAB Show so far this year?
It's pretty busy, but it's going very well. I've talked about a lot of cool, new, interesting technologies with different people, so that's always nice to do.
That's fun. Yeah, so tell me about THEO Technologies.
So THEO Technologies actually is, historically we're known as a video player company, but we really
the
focus...
THEO player.
Yes, the THEO player. But we really focus on improving the video technology in general, focused on user experience, basically making OTT better and allowing OTT to also reach some of the advantages that we used to have in analog, but that we've lost by migrating to an OTT world.
Absolutely. So one of these issues is low latency. So can you talk about the issues and why it's important to reduce the latency?
Yeah. Latency has been quite a hot topic over the last year or so, especially due to big sporting events. People's experience is really getting ruined by tweets arriving before they're seeing things on their screen, because of course you have to beat Twitter in the end. Or the alternatives, things like people cheering in a bar that you can hear from your house and you're watching over an OTT service and you're not seeing the goal that the people in the bar are cheering for. Those kind of things really are causing, some friction and are really ruining experiences for customers. And that's usually latency related. And then you're not even thinking about doing new and interactive TV shows, making new formats. That latency is really blocking certain business cases and diminishing the quality of experience for end users at this point.
Yeah, so everybody is trying to solve this. So how does THEO Technologies compare?
We actually have two approaches at this point. So you have a lot of talk about chunk CMAF within the industry. That's something that we've been working on for quite a long time, which is a very promising technology, but it's a patch. It's basically trying to solve some of the downsides of HTTP adaptive streaming with Dash or with HLS. Another thing that we actually started on 2 years ago in our innovation lab inside the company was trying to solve the latency problem, but not just the latency problem, also some other problems which we're seeing in the industry. One of them being, for example, huge bandwidth costs, which are occurring with people moving to HDR or moving to higher resolutions or higher frame rates, and in parallel, trying to compensate for that latency by reducing segment sizes, pushing more keyframes, and again, increasing all kinds of costs bandwidth-wise, but also tackling a number of other problems that we've been seeing. Think, for example, about zapping times, which used to be awesome on analog TV, but which have become multiple segments when you look at an OTT world. And, personally, I don't like looking at spinners. I don't really know people who like
I don't think anybody likes
spinners.
looking at them.
Absolutely. So also focusing on that kind of aspect. And not just the zapping time, but also, for example, network stability, when your network environment changes, that you can still do ABR, that you're not losing it or sacrificing it as a result of trying to solve the latency problem. And that's actually why we've developed a protocol which we're calling a high efficiency streaming protocol.
And that's what you're showcasing at NAB this year.
Yes, that's something that we're very happy that we're announcing at this point in time. We've been working on it for a very long time. We've been doing some very interesting proof of concepts with customers. So very happy that we can finally start discussing this as well.
So tell me what differentiates the high efficiency streaming protocol?
Yeah, so the protocol is based on not making compromises when trying to do low latency. So we focused it, of course, on getting that low latency. So we've been running some tests with customers, doing, for example, end-to-end latency, going from our offices in Belgium, going to US West, an Amazon data center, back to our offices, doing all of that with round trip times, end-to-end latency times of 300 to 400 milliseconds, while still saving a decent amount of bandwidth by just removing all of the overhead which you have in your streaming protocols. And that actually resulted in bandwidth savings of about 10%. But because we have such a low latency, most broadcast use cases actually don't require such a low latency. It's very nice for the interactive formats. But another thing that we've been doing with the protocol is investigating how much additional bandwidth saving you could get if you would tune your encoder to have more time to do the encode and end up with a latency which is like 2 seconds, for example. And if you would tune your encoder that way, and well, we're not encoding experts, so we probably didn't even get most out of it, but we saw a bandwidth reduction of about 20%. And all of that happened with zapping times of less than 100 milliseconds.
So when you're doing that encoding, is that just for on demand, or does that also work for live when you say about tweaking that?
It's for live as well. And actually the nice part about it is that you don't need to change anything but the packager and the player. So the encoders, the CDNs, everything is standard. It scales in the same way as standard HLS and dash scale, so over standard HTTP. So as a result, you can really do ultra low latency with a massive bandwidth saving at massive scale. And that's the real nice thing about this protocol. It doesn't require you to compromise certain aspects of your pipeline simply because you want to do or low latency or you want to optimize your viewer experience. You can basically have both.
That sounds very interesting. Thank you so much for joining us at Connected Media IP, and I look forward to finding out what you've done next year.
Yeah, pleasure of being here.